This is Dr. P. Munaswamy, Professor, Department of ECE. Today, I am going to give the presentation on Introduction to Analog Communication Systems. So here we are going to give the basic diagram, basic elements. What is the need of modulation? What are the elements in the basic electrical communication system? We will discuss in detail. So coming to the basic diagram. So what is the definition of the communication? So communication nothing but it is a process of conveying the or transformation of messages or information from one person to another person. In another way, you can say that simply the exchange of information from one person to another person or one point to another point through wire or wireless is called communication. So coming to the basic black diagram, what are the basic elements, fundamental elements of any communication system? So basically we are going to have the three elements. One is transmitter, channel and the receiver. So these are the three basic elements for any communication system. So next coming to so what is the source? Source is nothing but it is a input to the system, communication system. So it may be analog signal or it may be digital signal. So what is the transmitter? So you have the different signals can be transmitted by the help of the modulation. So there is a different basic elements, internal elements of the transmitter are transducers, amplifier, modulator, oscillators, power amplifier and antenna. And coming to the channel, it is a physical contact between the source and destination is called channel. It may be physical wire which can be touched physically and maybe it may be wireless. So you can consider the both as a channel in between transmitter and the receiver. It may be a physical contact or it may not be a physical contact, that is wireless. Free space can be act as a channel for this some cases. Then coming to the receiver, it is also one of the device communication basic element. So with the help of this one, we can receive the modulated signal and by the operation of the demodulation, you can have the detection from the modulated wave to original signal of the sound signal. So there we are going to have the antenna for receiving the modulated signal, amplifier, demodulator, oscillators. So there are some of the examples. So loudspeaker is a final end of the element of the receiver which can produce the sound signal by receiving the analog electrical signal, that is modulating signal. So these are the different elements, that is the transmitter, receiver and channel. What are the functions of each and every basic element of the transmitter? Then coming to so what is the signal? So in the communication system, we can define the physical signal. It is a physical quantity that varies with respect to time or space, or more than one or two independent variables. So that is called overall signal, nothing but in communication point of view, you can say that it is a information conveying some sense. So that is called signal. So if it can be defined as it is a physical quantity which can vary with respect to time or space or any other independent variable. That is called a signal. So here the input signal and output signal. So you can have the different signals are there. So one is called baseband signal, modulating signal, which is input signal to the fundamental element of the transmitter, communication system, that is the transmitter. And then after modulation by the transmitter, it is called modulated signal. So modulating signal, baseband signal is the initial signal. After modulation, we are going to have the signal is called a modulated signal. And then at the receiver side, after demodulation operation, the original signal we are going to have the modulating signal. So to carry the modulated signal along with the carrier signal. So with the support of the carrier signal, by the combination of both the carrier signal which is high frequency with the modulating signal low frequency, by the combination of both signal, you have the modulated signal. This is the high frequency. So overall, you can say that in a communication system, any communication system, there are three signals are there. One is modulating signal, carrier signal, and the modulated signal. So before modulation, that is called a modulating signal. After modulation, it is modulated signal. So for carrying the signal of the modulating is called a carrier. So the name itself indicates is the carrier signal which carries the or modulating signal. So at the receiver side, there we are going to have the suppressing the carrier signal and get the only modulating signal. So these are the different signals we are going to have in a communication system. So this is the example for the communication signal, the analog signal. So there is a continuous variation of the signal with respect to time. So example, we have the sound signal, speech signal, television signals. These are the some of the physical signals which can give some sense, which can carry some information. So coming to beginning, we have seen that only three basic elements of the basic analog communication system. Here we can see the different elements which are available in the block diagram analog communication system. So first one is you have to provide the source, information source, the signal which is to be transmitted from the source or from the transmitter. That is the first point, first element. After that, the generated signal, initially available signal is sound signal, which is a physical signal. So we are unable to transmit the signal directly of the sound signal, physical signal. So for that, to transmit into the convenient form of the transmission. So by the help of the transducer, input transducer, which can change the all physical signal, sound signal into the electrical signal. So that is the purpose of the transducer here. So the purpose of the transducer is which can convert the non-electrical signal into the electrical signal. So by the help of this input transducer, you can take the conversion of physical signal, sound signal into the electrical. So once you have the output of the input transducer as an electrical signal, then you can give on to the transmitter, which is the basic fundamental first element of the communication system. There we are going to have the modulation operation. So by the help of the modulation, the transmitter can transmit the electrical signal, which is the output of the input transducer. So once you have the transmission through wireless by the transmitter, then it can carry that modulated signal. So because we have completed this modulated signal by the operation of the transmitter, that modulated signal can be carried by the channel. So channel nothing but it is a physical contact between the transmitter and receiver. So during the transmission time, there is effect of the noise from the external. It may be internal of the circuit. So then at the third element of the communication system is the receiver. So receiver which can receive the modulated signal by the operation of the demodulation, then again we have to convert this modulated signal into the modulating signal, baseband signal. Once you have the receiving of the baseband signal, modulating signal, then it will be converted into original input signal of the sound signal by the help of the output transducer. So beginning input transducer is there, which can convert this sound signal into electrical signal. So example for this one is, so it is a microphone. So coming to the output transducer, which can convert the receiver electrical signal into the original physical signal called sound signal. Example for this one, you can say it is a speaker. So speaker which can generate the sound signal. So input transducer is a microphone which can convert our sound signal into electrical. Whereas coming to the output transducer, which is mic, which can generate the sound signal with the input of electrical signal. So this is the basic analog communication system. So basically there are three elements only. In addition to the basic three elements, we are going to have the input transducer, output transducer, and information source. Finally, there is a destination. So finally, we are going to get the information in original form at the output of the transducer. So this is about the basic fundamental analog communication system. So then coming to the next one, very important in a communication system is modulation. So what is modulation? Simply in a single word, you can say that, you can define that modulation is nothing but a change in parameters of the carrier properties. So change, simply you can say that it is a change. Change is nothing but the properties of the carrier signal is varying according to the strength of modulating signal or instantaneous value of the modulating signal. So according to that, you have to change the properties of carrier signal. So what are the properties means? So take any signal, there is a three properties are there. One is the amplitude, another one is the frequency, and third one is the phase. So according to the strength of the or instantaneous value of the modulating signal, the signal strength can be, the carrier signal properties can be varies. So this carrier signal property of the amplitude is varying according to the strength of the modulating signal or instantaneous value of the modulating signal. Then you can say that it is a amplitude modulation, because there is a change in properties of the carrier signal of amplitude, so that it is a amplitude modulation. The carrier signal property of frequency is varying according to the instantaneous value of the modulating signal. Then you can say that it is a frequency modulation. So the properties of the carrier signal phase is varying according to the strength of the modulating signal or instantaneous value of the modulating signal. Then you can say that it is a phase modulation. So based on the properties changes of the carrier signal, we are going to have the three modulations. So one is the amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, and third one is the phase modulation. So this is according to the definition of the change in properties of the carrier signal. So overall, you can say that modulation is the process by which the characters of high frequency signal called carrier is varied in accordance with the instantaneous value of the modulating signal. So that is the definition. In a single word, you can say that change. Change is nothing but change of properties of the carrier signal. So already you discussed it. So in any communication system, there are three signals are there. One is the modulating signal, carrier signal, and third one is the modulated signal. So there is a much difference between the modulating signal and the modulated signal. So modulating signal nothing but it is a baseband signal which consists of our information which occupies the band of frequency and consists of the information which is to be transmitted. That is called a modulating signal. Before modulation, the signal is known as modulating signal. After modulation, the signal is called a modulated signal. So it may be amplitude modulation, or it may be frequency modulation, or it may be phase modulation. So according to that, we are going to have the modulated signal. So before modulation is called modulating signal. After modulation, it is called a modulated signal. This third signal is carrier signal. It is a high frequency signal. So for the transmission of the modulating signal directly, it is some of practical problems are there. To avoid that problems, so you can combine this modulating signal, which is low frequency signal, into the carrier signal, which is a high frequency. The combination of both low and high frequencies is called a high frequency signal, named as modulated signal. So the name itself indicates carrier signal which carries our information signal. So that is called a carrier signal. So another advantage of this modulation is, what is the actual need of the modulation? You can reduce the height of the antenna. So by increasing the based on the frequency, so it is lambda equal to height of the antenna equal to lambda by 2. This is relation. So according to that, height of the antenna h equal to lambda by 2. So where lambda equal to c by carrier light. So based on the lambda change, so you can design the height of the antenna. So the frequency of the carrier signal and modulating combined, you can have the high frequency. So the frequency is increases. So proportional there is a reduction in the height of the antenna. So because here height of the h equal to lambda by 2 only. So based on that lambda value, you can design our antenna which is required for the transmission of the signal or receiving the modulated signal. So that is the main advantage of the modulation. So with the modulation, we are converting the low frequency signal of modulating signal into the high frequency. So the increase in frequency, so automatically there is a reduction in the height of the antenna. Next, coming to the second point, increases the range of communication. So high frequency range, the signal transmitted is high frequency, it covers more than the required area. So that means you take the FM, it limits only 50 kilometers range. Whereas coming to the high frequency, modulated signal high frequency range, it can cover its communication range. So next, third point, allows the multiplexing of signals. So multiplexing means many into one. So more number of signals, more number of resources can be transmitted at a time by the operation called multiplexing. So the combination of the so many signals with the different frequencies. So there are two types of multiplexings are there. One is the TDM, another one is FDM. FDM stands for frequency division multiplexing. TDM stands for time division multiplexing. So another one is the bandwidth, adjustment of the bandwidth. So noise can be also reduced by the operation of the modulation. So these are the main advantage of any modulation which is taking in the communication system. So first point, reduce the height of the antenna, increase the range of communication, allows the multiplexing of signals, adjustment in the bandwidth is allowed, and multiplexing signals. Noise will also reduces. These are the main advantages of the modulation in communication system. So what is the multiplexing? Already discussed that. So multiplexing is the process of combining the multiple signals in one signal. That is called composite signal. So there is a variation in the time, is called time division multiplexing. So signals are separated in time frequency, it is called frequency division multiplexing. TDM stands for time division multiplexing. So in this case, the signals are separated in time, is called time division multiplexing. FDM stands for frequency division multiplexing. So here the signals are separated in frequency. So that is called a frequency division multiplexing. So that means overall multiplexing means many into one. That means many signals, multiple signals can be combined, called as a composite signal that can be transmitted with the operation called multiplexing. So multiplexing was first developed in telephony. So that is called abbreviated as it is MUX. So demultiplexing. So we are going to have the many into one means multiple input signals combined into one signal as a composite signal and transmitted. Coming to the receiver side, so that means multiplexing operation or multiplexers are used at the transmit side. Coming to the receiver side, the same composite signal can be distributed with the help of the demultiplexers. So here one into many. So that is corresponding to the multiplexing many into one, many inputs and single output. Coming to the receiver side, where we are going to use the demultiplexer, we have to distribute the different destinations. So that single input and multiple outputs, one into many. So that is called a demultiplex, DMUX, MUX and DMUX. So MUX and DMUX are plays a vital role in a communication system for distribution of the signals. So this is the diagram. So take the MUX, there are multiple inputs 1 to n and output is only single. Coming to the DMUX, so we have received the modulated signal or transmitted signal by the transmitter, which is the composite signal of multiple inputs, is received by the demultiplexer. So once you have received the composite signal, that can be distributed to different multiple destinations. So that is called one into many here. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.